You're watching
Real English
with
Real Teachers.
real teachers.
So what I thought is with the social media, obviously initially I started with teaching like in a very traditional way. And then I started introducing my drama sketches. I started playing the Italian character with their accent and then other characters who didn't have an accent. And I think I played with that quite well. And I ended up turning my social media into the career I've always wanted. I created it for myself, basically. But yeah, it took a while.
Yeah, when did you start it?
I started doing videos in 2020, but as I said, it took a while for me to include my drama in them. Maybe a year later, 2021, 2022. Last year, I just went for it. And yes, so we got different characters with different names. People know their background. There's the Italian boyfriend. There's the very posh Sarah girl who has a very incredibly posh accent when she speaks. And she's always correcting Laura's pronunciation. And then you've got the cashier. So, you're white, love, yeah? What do you want today? And she's got like more of a Cockney slang. So I'm working on making and producing those accents as a non-native speaker. For me, so difficult to do that. Some people are like, oh, why don't you do a Scottish one? And I'm like, I'm still not a native speaker. It's really hard for me to imitate regional accents of a language that's not my own. So, yeah.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, imagine. I'm just trying to imagine myself trying to task that. So imitating not just an Italian accent, but a regional Italian that is really hard to understand. Yeah, that would be impossible.
Do you speak Italian?
Yeah, kudos to you. No, that's probably going to be even harder, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
The language as well. I'm focusing on Spanish, but still,
yeah, there we go. It's as if
sort of level.
It's as if you were to produce an accent from Madrid rather than South American or from Murcia, for example. They've got a different accent and regional pronunciation, and it's hard for you as a non-native speaker to be able to even pitch that.
Yeah, so tricky, so tricky. Let's talk about the cultural differences that you may have noticed between Italy and the UK. Because you moved to the UK when you were 18. Did you notice anything particular that stood out to you?
Yeah, so I was considered by several people quite rude because I'm incredibly direct. I'm already direct as an Italian. So as an Italian person, I'm a very direct person, and let alone in a British setting. So I would literally say what I thought all the time. I really had to mile that down, really had to think carefully about everything I said and choose the words really carefully. When that is not your first language, you just want to communicate. You don't really think about the register. You don't really think about the choice of words and how they may be perceived by the other person. And that was really tricky. Not so much at uni because it was an informal setting, but when I became a teacher and I started working in schools with secondary school British children, kids, teenagers, that's when I struggled, because I would get angry and want to tell them off, but I really had to be careful what words I chose. For example, growing up, I was taught that shut up just meant stai zitto, be quiet, right? And I never realized till I got into an actual school setting and I was the teacher that shut up was a very rude way of telling a student to be quiet. So I would literally go to the student and say, shut up now. And they would all freeze and go, you can't say that, miss. You can't say that. And I was like, why not? I want you to be quiet now. Be quiet now. Shut up. I think the reason why these sketches are successful is because I very much think about myself being a foreigner in the country and what I struggled with the most, and what the amount of times I made a fool of myself by getting the words wrong and things like that. So a very funny one is, for example, when I was one of the first dinners at my husband's family place when we were dating. We were 23 or something, because we met at uni, and there was this mum, his stepdad, uncle, all the siblings, etc. And his mum had a cold sore on her lip, and in Italian we just call it herpes. So in front of the
Oh,
whole
yes.
table, I just went, "Oh, Anne, I didn't know you had herpes." And everybody in the table froze. And that was the first time. I don't know. I can't remember if it was the first dinner we had together. And she turned around very embarrassed and she said, "What do you mean? I haven't got herpes. Why would you say that?" And then I realized that probably that wasn't the right word. Anyway, so all of my sketches are based on real life situations. I very much feel like my mannerism has changed since moving here. I have calmed down a lot, or I've developed a skill where I know when I need to act in a certain way in certain situation. Whilst before, maybe also because I was younger, I would be very much going with the flow and say anything that crossed my mind. Now I'm more careful about the words that I choose.
So more reserved.
I've become a little bit
say.
more English in the way I see and interact with the word. Yes. When I change language, I change
Yeah.
personality as well. I'm way more blunt and direct when I'm Italian, and a lot more reserved when I speak English. Although it may not seem to
Yes.
you. So this just leaves room for you to imagine what I'm like when when I speak in Italian. So yeah.
One thing that I've noticed culturally is that Italians are more passionate and, dare I say, a bit more hot-headed than British people.
Mm.
Do you find that personality in you coming out when you're in your Italian mode?
Absolutely, 100%. The only thing that really pisses me off about you guys is how angry you get just when you are inside a car. I just do not understand. All the Britishness about you disappears when you're driving. You become so rude. You would never. So if you're queuing, you're super polite. So if you're physically standing there and queuing, you're super polite. But if you're queuing inside your car at the traffic lights, you immediately become angry. It's so funny. I can't explain that. I was talking about this to my husband the other day, and I was telling him, why on earth do you change personality when you step inside a car? You lose all your Britishness. What can you
That's
say
spot
about
on.
that?
That really is spot on. I would say it's that we are allowing the feeling of anonymity as soon as you
Okay.
step inside that car. You're no longer the version of you that's queuing as a human next to another human. You've got this bubble around you to protect you.